Yeah, like just to go back to that EDP thing though, like and Gideon kind of getting involved in this sort of thing. How do you feel about that? Like sort of collabing with like a gigantic YouTuber personality. Like on one hand, brings a lot more eyeballs to this kind of content. On the other hand, it potentially could kind of make this content look like a joke because obviously Gideon's intention is to make funny content and he's wearing a cupcake costume and like that. Like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't like the way I didn't like it, to be honest. I didn't watch the video, but I saw pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Gideon's wearing the cupcake costume, kind of making a mockery out of what I do and what people who do this in a serious way.
But I feel like he believes in it a lot too. I'm sure he has the same thoughts on it as you at the end of the day, even though he also wants to make it comedic.
I mean, if you really believe in it, you would probably take it more serious. That's just my opinion on it. I mean, I didn't wear a cupcake costume when I went and confronted EDP. I straight up, I treated EDP the exact same way that I treat every other ordinary creep that I catch.
Right.
I didn't wear that, and I mean, I don't know if he got arrested or not in that situation. Probably not.
This new one, right? Yeah, it doesn't. If no, because he was making TikToks like responding to Gideon like right afterwards, and he was accusing him of like basically just making shit. Like he accused him of waiting outside his dialysis center for like 8 hours to catch him, and as a result he wasn't able to get his medication or his treatment for his fucking diabetes or whatever, which I have no idea if that's true. Obviously EDP does not seem like a super trustworthy source, but that did make me wonder like, oh, so when they confronted him, was it some other shit? Was it like, I don't know, like I just hope that that Gideon and them like keep in mind why this content is important, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. If you're gonna do something like this, you should do it from the heart. You shouldn't just do it because you want to make content and you want to make a couple of views and you want to make some people laugh or make a clown show out of this. If you want to make a clown show, continue doing the stuff that you're doing. Don't just dive into some serious stuff that people are actually affected by this problem. Because if anything, you're probably insulting some of real victims out there that are watching this type of stuff.
Right. That's why the cupcake costume is kind of odd, is because it's like, if this guy really was trying to fuck a 12-year-old, it's kind of weird to like make a joke out of that situation. Even though I mean, at the end of the day, Gideon's so funny and that's just how he's going to do his content. So I feel like that's the kind of thing is that like, well, if it gets 5 million eyeballs on this sort of content, then I guess that's still like a net good, right?
But the thing is, everybody knew about
True,
the
yeah.
EDP catch from
It's
the
a
beginning.
sequel, yeah.
Yeah, that was just pretty much a sequel. You know, let me make my own version of this, and get some followers from that.
So was your first high profile catch this guy from the Chucky movie?
No, I wouldn't say that.
You had some other ones before that?
Yeah, what I consider high-profile catches are people that are either in power or in a position of authority or work around kids already.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I consider high-profile. I know some people consider high-profile as celebrities, but if we're talking about celebrities, I would say, yeah, Chucky would be one of them.
What was his actual name?
Ed Gale.
Right, Ed Gale.
Ed Gale was high-profile celebrity. There was another guy that I caught. He was a trans activist. And he said that he worked for the campaign of Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
Wow. And did that check out? Did you figure out if that was actually true?
That's what he said.
Oh, okay.
That's what he claimed to me.
Wow.
His name was Clinton Allen Goss. You can look it up.
And he got arrested?
He didn't get arrested. I mean,
He didn't?
No.
So the cops showed up and let him go? Why
The cops didn't even show up.
They just didn't come?
They didn't even come.
And you just gave up at a certain point and you were like, all right, you can go?
Well, no, he ran into his apartment and hid inside his apartment. I mean, I can't knock down the door.
Yeah.
But I called the cops, and the cops didn't even. They drove past the streets that I was on, and I'm trying to flag them down, and they wouldn't even pull over. It was in San Diego. Nothing happened to that guy. But if you Google his name, it's all gonna come up.
So sometimes the cops seem enthusiastic about what you're doing, and then other times they seem kind of dismissive of it because they probably just don't want to have to do extra work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's both cases. Sometimes they they just don't want to do the extra work. But most of the time, they love what we do, I would say. But
I respect the cops, but at the end of the day, I think that there's like a culture of laziness that kind of thrives within police departments, and I think they know that. Is that like there's a big like reward socially for like being the guy who doesn't make everybody else work more as a cop, I think.
And another thing is sometimes they get a little upset because I'm just a regular average Joe citizen. I'm not a cop.
Right.
And when they see what I'm doing, they kind of feel like insulted. Like why is this guy doing our job?
Yeah.
Why is he making us look bad? Which I'm not. That's not my intent. My intent isn't to make cops look bad. It's just to catch creeps. But sometimes they think that way.
It's kind of crazy. I remember being a kid and like really thinking that when I grew up that I could maybe be like Batman. Like I could really just solve crimes and just go out at night and just make the world a better place. And then you get older and you realize like, it's not going to happen. It's just not happening. But that's why I think it's kind of like fascinating is that by doing this kind of work, you're going out at night and you're fucking just actually trying to clean up the streets in a way that makes sense. Because if you really think about what Batman was doing, he was basically just beating up like bums and homeless people, which is kind of like a weird thing to do if you're a billionaire. But from your perspective, you know, you're targeting like a very specific crime and, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go after drug dealers or you know, robbers or burglars or thieves. I go after the worst of the worst, in my opinion, and that's child molesters and rapists and pedophiles and chomos and all that. Those are the people that we should be targeting. I mean, we don't target them; they come out, reach out to us, but those are the people that we need to get off the streets because those are the worst of the worst.
Right.
So.
Definitely. So, okay, the Ed Gale guy, what was it like catching him? Because wasn't he in a wheelchair or something?
No, he could walk.
Okay.
I think he had like a cane or something though. But oh man.
And you figured it out beforehand. Oh, this guy's famous, or at least he's been in movies.
I knew who he was. Yeah, I knew. He played it very cautious though. He was very, very cautious for the first couple months. And then he started to open up and get more comfortable. It's called the grooming process. These guys, they take their time and they try to befriend the kid, try to take advantage of them, manipulate them. And then once they get comfortable, that's when they'll start opening up. Hey, how many relationships have you been in? And then it just gradually gets worse and worse and they get a lot really sexual. And
so you've got just dozens or hundreds of these sort of conversations going on at any given time?
Yeah, so the decoys for CC unit, they do these things. Yeah.
And so, okay, you have people on your team and they're sort of, so then once they have somebody and they feel like they've taken them far enough along this path, they hit you up and they say, hey, this guy's ready. Let's get him set up. You guys got like a group text or something?
Yeah, we got a group chat and everything. but yeah, I mean, the way Ed Gale went was, he eventually got comfortable enough that he invited the kid over to his apartment. And the funny thing is the way the apartment complex is, he can't open the door himself because I guess he had like health issues that he couldn't get out of his own apartment. But he said that he had neighbors or associates of his that would open the door for the kid, which makes me think that there's other people involved in whatever he was doing, you know? It just made it seem weird.
So when you showed up, who opened the door?
Just some random guy.
That was in there?
Yeah. Random guy opened up the door. And we walk in.
Even though it's a bunch of grown men with cameras? Like, and there's no child? Or...
Well, no, we played it smart. He opened up the door, and it was just one of us. It was just me.
Oh, okay.
He opened up the door to me, and I walk in. And then that's when the dude that opened the door, he like kind of left. Like, he went wherever he went to. I don't know. He just disappeared somehow. And then that's when I felt, and I was like looking around the apartment. I was making sure the coast was clear. All right, I got my crew now. Opened up the door. They had come in. And then I saw the door. And the funny thing is I knew Ed Gale's door just because of the way the doorknob was. The doorknob was positioned super low down. Really, like if you see that doorknob right there,
right?
That's like a normal level human being door, but his doorknob was down to the floor.
Because he's what, like 4 feet tall or something?
Yeah, like 3 feet or something. I don't know.
Holy shit!
And then so knock on the door, And I hear from a distance from inside of the apartment, "Hey, I'm coming over. Hold on." And he walks over, opens his door, and he looks up at me. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were that tall." And I'm like, "Shh, yeah." And then he invites.
So he thought you were the kid at first.
Yeah.
Well, with the mask, you could kind of pull that off.
I was wearing the mask.
You
yeah.
could be a 16-year-old with the mask on. Like, I mean, like, I would believe it, I guess. Until you talk.
Yeah.
Once you talk, your voice is more.
Well, how old do you think I am? Like, just from my voice.
You have a grown ass voice.
Yeah, I had to like pitch it down. Hey,
Yeah.
do that.
You also, like, especially with the mask, you look so much like this guy who used to work here that I know that the fans are going to have a million comments. So shout out to Yuri, because like, you look so much like him with the mask on and I know it's going to be every fucking comment. Just want to throw that out there. But anyway, so what do you do once you get into the room?
So yeah, he opens up the door, he lets me in, and the funny thing is we actually we had like a bag with us, because we had a Chucky doll inside of the bag that I was carrying, and I had some like Chucky movies, because he said that, hey, bring over some souvenirs and I'll signature them for you, I'll autograph them.
Oh my god!
Because he's like, yeah, bring over some like memorabilia or some souvenirs that you want me to autograph for you, because the kid was saying that he was like a Chucky fan. So, and then this guy, Ed Gale, was like bragging to the kid, "Oh, I'm the real Chucky. I'm over here. I'm the real deal. I can sign your stuff, autograph it." And he's like playing out, like he's like trying to impress the kid who he is, right?
Right.
So that's why we played the part. We bought all these Chucky dolls and we bought DVDs of the Chucky movies that he was in.
Right.
So we had this all in a bag, and he opens up the door. I walk in. He's like, "Oh, you got the stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got the stuff." And the funny thing is, the other stuff that I had in the bag was the chat logs. So he's like, "Oh yeah, open up your bag. Let's see what you have in there." And I open it up, and I didn't give him the Chucky log. I showed him the chat logs. And and another thing that he said was, "Oh, can you take off your mask? I want to see how your face looks." I'm like, "Yeah, give me 1 second." And I take out the chats and I show it to him. And then the first thing he said when I showed him the chats was like, "I knew it." Like, that's the first thing he said. "I knew it.
Right.
I knew this was a setup." And then he asked me, "Are you a police officer? Are you a cop?" I'm like, "No, I'm not a cop. Like, relax. I'm just here to talk to you." He's like, Okay. As long as like there's no cops involved, I'm fine with talking. So I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, I won't call the cops." And I told him, "I have some camera crew outside. Let me bring them in." He's like, "Okay." And he goes and opens up the door, and then my camera crew comes in, and we're filming this guy, and he just coughs up to everything, admits everything.
What, admits to having done this in the past as well?
Yeah, he said that he's had 10 other victims that he's talked to online. And he named dropped a few big names in the video that I haven't uploaded the video. Nobody's ever seen the video yet.
Big names like famous people that he molested?
Not that
or that he did this with.
That he's friends with.
Really?
The way he like talked about it, it made it seem like they knew what he was doing, or like the friends,
So he gets caught and he's like, "Well, I'm also going to expose everybody who even knows that I'm into this."
Yeah.
Wow. What
he like says, he talks about some of his friends in the video.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I can say the names afterwards. Like,
okay. Damn, that's crazy though, because that could be like the toppling of a whole pyramid of fucking creepy stuff. Because I mean, that's always like this weird accusation, is that like Hollywood is like a bunch of groomers and pedophiles and stuff, and it's like, I'm sure that there is quite a bit of that, but I don't think it's like institutional.
And you know what the funny thing is, or somewhat of a coincidence, my channel got removed right after that catch.
Really?
Pretty close, like a couple weeks after that.
Well,
catch.
that was probably the biggest thing you've had too, viral wise, right?
Well, we done one recently, like a few days ago.
Right, with this other guy who, what was his name? Fuck, I didn't write it down.
It was Gabriel Jarrett.
Okay, so this guy was in what movie?
He was in the movie Real Genius and The Karate Kid 3 and some other movies.
So he's an actor, not like a super well-known actor, but he's somebody. And how did this catch go?
So we were actually decoying this guy even before we came across Ed Gale.
Okay.
He was on our radar before Ed Gale. He was talking to this 13-year-old girl for over a year, since May of 2022. He's been talking to the decoy off and on, calling her on the phone sometimes, texting her.
That's crazy because if you're this dude and you're talking to somebody for a year, aren't you assuming that the cops or whatever are not going to be talking to you for a year?
Exactly.
So that like makes it so believable that it's real. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. And he comes out in the middle of the night in Santa Monica on a scooter. And the funny thing is, like, when I saw him in person,
I saw this video actually, yeah.
he was just like a tweaked out guy. Like he looked nothing like the pictures in the like the Hollywood pictures that he has, like the portraits and the good lighting and stuff. It was nothing like that.
Because his last significant movie roles were like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's been in some recent movies too, but not anything big.
I think all these actors, they just get like headshots that make them look like 20 years younger, and they just push this version of themselves that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you take a side-by-side picture of what I got of the catch compared to the pictures of him on Google,
right,
night and day. This guy was like a tweaker, probably on drugs.
And he started saying some crazy shit to you right away.
Yeah, he was like, "Stop this! Stop filming me!
Right.
Stop filming me!" And then I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm here like I'm meeting an 18-year-old girl." That's what he said. And then I said, "No, you're not. You're here to meet a 14-year-old or 13-year-old turning 14-year-old." Yeah. And he was like, he's like, "No, she told me she was 18." I'm like, "Okay, why does the chat say like 14?" And he was like, "Well, she changed her age later on." And then that's when I started pressing him more, like, "Bro, you're lying." And he takes out like a weapon out of his pocket.
What kind of weapon? A knife?
It was either a knife or a pepper spray.
Okay.
I thought it was a knife at first, but it might have been a pepper spray, just the way he was like, because at first he was holding it on the side and it made it look like he was holding like a blade or something. But then he like twisted it like this and it made it look like a pepper spray. So I didn't know what he was holding at the time. But he brandished the weapon. He's like, "Get away from me! Stop recording me!" And then he gets on the scooter and takes off. But we got him. And then now the Santa Monica PD, they're investigating him. So
they didn't arrest him on the spot. They showed up and said, we'll look into it.
Exactly. Yeah, they took a report.
And was it the same thing with Ed Gale?
Yeah. Well, with Ed Gale, they said that the main problem was his health issue. His health issue, because he was like hooked up to like an oxygen machine.
Yeah, that's got to be a whole thing, arresting somebody who's on an oxygen machine.
Yeah.
But so is that more common? It's more common for the cops to just take down some information rather than to arrest them?
No, actually, all the other cases that I've had in Santa Monica, it's been arrest on the spot every single time.
Really?
The only one that hasn't been an arrest on the spot was this recent one.
Really?
They didn't arrest him on the spot.
Huh.
And it makes me think, why?
Yeah. Are you convinced that there's like corruption within the police departments and stuff like that, or is it?
I don't think it's corruption within the police department. I just think that they're probably trying to dot their I's and cross their T's because this guy's a big person.
Yeah.
Compared to the average people that we catch.
Yeah.
This guy actually is somebody and probably has money and all this.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
I need everybody to check out NoJumper.com. We officially started a blog. It has in-depth articles about current events, music, etc., plus all of our content in terms of podcasts, interviews, etc. And you can get some exclusive new merch if you check out NoJumper.com. So make sure you tap in.